Hello everybody, this is Shocknado, back at it again with a new video. And this is probably going to be a overarching series that I bring, just tier lists. I like, when I watch YouTube, I personally like watching tier list videos, you know what I mean? So I thought, might as well do the same thing. And today we're going to be ranking animes, and I have three right here that are honorable mentions for the anime position. We have the Sonic OVA, Voltron from 2017. If you've ever watched it, you understand what I'm talking about. And then Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm pretty sure that I'm missing some that I've seen, but it's all right. It's all right. I was sitting here for like 30 minutes before I was gonna eat tonight. Sitting there like, damn, what anime have I seen? And I was just stumped. So, you know, this is the list, and this is what we're going with. So let's just get right into it. Right into the meat and potatoes. It's a simple tier list, S, A, B, C, D, F. You know, I'm mainly going to be incorporating this the stories, you know what I mean, like the actual plot of the anime. Animation points are going to be they aren't going to be huge, mainly like 20% of the of my ranking, but it's mainly going to be story based and all of that mumbo jumbo. But yeah, we're gonna go Naruto to Avatar. If I feel like I need to skip and just put some stuff right into S tier, we're gonna get we're gonna do that. But let's start off with Naruto, and Naruto has a great story in my opinion, and I'm putting Naruto for OG and Shippuden. Um, fuck Boruto though. We could just forget about that. And also, by the way, quick side note, you know, tier lists are going to come every Tuesday and Thursday, so it's going to be tier list Tuesdays and Thursdays. Superhero Sundays, FNAF Fridays, Minecraft Mondays. You guys are going to see over the next coming weeks what I got planned for the channel. But moving past that, let's get right into the tier list. Naruto has amazing character arcs, you know what I mean? That definitely is the highlight of the show. I feel like some characters get slept on, in my opinion. One of my favorite characters in the entirety of the show, Rock Lee, has an incredible arc in Naruto, and then he just gets forgotten about in Shippuden. And it's hard to scale someone like Rock Lee in comparison to Naruto when it comes to Shippuden. And people like Sasuke, Itachi, all that when it comes to Shippuden, so I understand what the mangaka was thinking when it all happened, but it's gonna go at a solid B tier. It's not bad, but it's not, you know, the best. And if we want to talk about real character arcs, my hero, my fucking hero, bro. Amazing. One of the best shows to come out of the 2010s and into the 2020s. For sure, for sure. It got a lot of hate, when it first dropped, and because of the fan base, really. I watched it when it was originally releasing, and then I got to season 4, and then I kind of just stopped. You know what I mean? I was just like, it's not doing it for me. And then the season finale dropped, and I didn't really know anything about it. My girlfriend at the time really liked it, and we broke up soon after, and then I was just like trying to get back into anime, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch My Hero. You know what I mean? Like I love the show. For a long time, I really loved Deku's origin story, and I loved all of that. You know, the fight scene for like for example, I've seen Cell game like I don't have DBZ here, but I've seen the Cell games. I didn't watch all of Hunter x Hunter, so I didn't put Hunter x Hunter, but like the Hunter exam and the Chunin exam, for example, I think shit, what is it called? The school festival where they're all pit up against each other. That's like the best Cell game adaptation in all of anime, in my opinion. Easily. Like, there's a reason why it won Crunchyroll's Animation of the Year, whatever year that it won. So I'm gonna shoot it up to A tier. And this might get shut. I'm gonna leave it at A tier. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at A tier. The finals. If it was just season 7, I think that's self-explanatory. But you know, it is such a great overarching story that connects. You know what I mean? Like for the longest, because I didn't watch when freaking Endeavor's son from the League of Villains gets revealed that it's Endeavor's son. But when I was rewatching the anime, I noticed he had blue eyes the entirety of the show, and I'm like, dude, that's gonna come back to haunt. Not haunt, but it's gonna come back to prove a point later in the anime. And boom, I was right. He came out as Endeavor's son, and he just caused a whole bunch of shit, and it was crazy. I could not believe it. You know, Full Metal Alchemist, I should not have to explain myself if you've seen this show. In comparison to almost every other anime here we got, this is peak. This is peak. If you want to talk about an anime that just connects all of the dots, there you go. And also, one of my favorite things about Full Metal Alchemist is it is such a good story about corruption and governmental issues. It's very relatable to the times that we're in now. You know what I mean? It is very, very relatable to the times that we're living in now. Um, extremely, extreme, like one of the best, if not the best anime that I have ever seen. Like in my room, like if you're tapped into the streams ever, um, or there's gonna be a few videos with my face cam, you guys will see I have Full Metal Alchemist crap all over my room. I love this show. So this is a little bit of a bias, but and swinging back to My Hero, I just had a thought talking about character arcs. I said it had some of the best character arcs in all fiction. We have to talk about Bakugo. He went from telling Deku to swan dive off of the school building to having one of the most epic scenes in anime of 2026 so far. And, Endeavor having one of the most favorable redemptions as an anime father. You know, it is incredible what the creator was able to pull off with that show. So we got Parasite the Maxim. If you know anything about Parasite, very epic show, very epic show. Honestly, one of the most, I would say, honestly overrated shows. I love it, but people just glaze it too much for what it is, and it's usually like a first anime, I can't lie. So I'm gonna sit it right at B tier because it is a good TV show, but a lot of people put it at like their A tier, S tier, but they're like very early anime watchers, I find. And by the way, A tier and above, you made me cry. You genuinely made me tear up and shed a tear while watching you. So now that I said that, Assassination Classroom. You know, it is a very short and sweet anime in comparison to the like Naruto. Parasite's another short one, but Naruto, My Hero, Full Metal, those are full-length animes. Full Metal on the ladder of a full-length anime, not as long as these two right here, but you get the idea. This is a very short and sweet one. Has a lot of action, funny moments. It's kind of, I don't want to say slice of life because it's definitely not a slice of life, but it gives you a chuckle. You know what I mean? And I feel like every good anime should have moments like that. But beyond that, there's a lot of emotional, especially in the later of the second season, the later half of the second season, and parts of the first season. It tugs on your heartstrings. It makes you fall in love with Koro Sensei, and not in love, but you love the character. And it is, spoiler alerts, by the way. We're talking about fucking. This is a tier list for crying out loud. Um, when he does ultimately pass away, it is one of the most impactful moments in anime, I feel like. And just moving on, because there's not much to say other than that about Assassination Classroom. Erased. Not like, if you want to talk about short and sweet, 13 episodes. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is 13 episodes. And it is easily one of the most insane thrillers. You know, you want to watch the next episode. You're going to be clicking next episode faster than, you know, you could say thank you to a barista at Starbucks. You know what I mean? Easily S tier, in my opinion. Easily S tier. Um, and it's just like the plot twists, in my opinion. And the idea of being able to go back in time and change the fate of those around you that you were unable to, help out in the past, it is amazing, utterly. Um, Death Note. I love Death Note. I think everybody does. But, I just wish once, once, I think it should have ended with L. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a near hater, and I'm not a light glazer, but I feel like it should have ended with L, and how that whole thing happened. Like, I don't think it should have been revived with the investigation with Near. So I'm gonna just throw it at a B tier. This is a crazy take. I might get some hate in the comments, but it is genuine from my standpoint. I'm gonna skip the Studio Ghibli movies and jump straight to Vinland Saga. And Vinland Saga is another great one. If you love shonen, if you love action, the first season you're gonna love. If you love a good, just, you know, kind of like a free run type of anime, you're gonna love the second season. So it definitely has two different styles packed into one anime. And I think it's a very ambitious, because it lost some viewers after the first season and they realized what they were getting into. They're like, come on, Thorfinn, come on, Thorfinn, just beat this guy's ass. You're fucking one of the best blade wielders in all of Norse. You know what I mean? Like, but they just don't understand it. And I want to put it at a B tier, but I'm gonna put it at an A tier. Like, I honestly don't think anything is gonna get CDF. You know, this is getting posted on a Thursday. My next one coming Tuesday, next week Tuesday, there will be some there will be some CDFs. There will be some CDFs, I will say that. But these are all shows that because these are all animes I've personally have watched, so I don't know if anything's gonna go that low. But, these are all great animes in my opinion. Um, Evangelion or Evangelion, whatever you want to call it. One of if not the best, like no, just one of the best stories ever told by another human to a human, in my opinion. It is a great story, and it is very metaphorical. I'm gonna just throw it at B tier. Not much to say about it. If it's old, if you've seen it, you've seen it. If you haven't, you haven't. One Punch Man, in comparison to everything here so far, One Punch Man is definitely on the lower end of the list. I love One Punch Man and his sentiment and his power scaling as a character, but story wise and definitely animation wise in the third season, um, you kind of just got to put it here. As much as I love One Punch Man, in comparison to everything here we have already, he it's a solid place. It's a solid place. Like it's not a bad placement for One Punch Man. Now we have Gurren Lagann. If you know anything about Gurren Lagann, peak, straight peak. Another short and sweet one in comparison to like these two right here. Short and sweet, amazing. If you're ever feeling down in the dumps, turn this show on. Just turn this show on. I'm not going to keep going about this, so let's go to Tokyo Ghoul. But peak, pure peak. Love the show with all of my heart. Moving to Tokyo Ghoul though, especially with like I'm just gonna put it here. You know what I mean? Oh, there we go. I'm gonna just put it there. I love Tokyo Ghoul and I love the animation of it. It's kind of like Demon Slayer, where it made every other studio step up in their animation. Kind of like My Hero and Vinland Saga. You know, like in the 2020s, it made every other studio step up with their animation. So yeah, I do appreciate that from Tokyo Ghoul. And the first season, I would say, is amazing. But after that, yeah, like season two is pretty good. But like I said, yikes. And for Promise Neverland, I am going to ignore season two completely. Which, if you've seen season two and season one, you completely understand what I'm talking about. If I have to count season two, we're putting it in D tier, but if I'm counting just season one, we're putting it in A tier. That's the drastic difference of season one and season two. But we're going to just leave it at A tier for now. Or not for now, just in general. AOT. AOT. Now, Attack on Titan is such an interesting concept for an anime. I love just older stories in animes, and obviously it's not real, but it's set in an older time period, like you have Full Metal, you have Vinland Saga, both set in very old time periods. Same thing with AOT. I'm going to be putting this in A tier. If you've seen Attack on Titan, it's kind of self-explanatory. It is one of, if not the greatest shonen out there. You know what I mean? Now, I would disagree with that, but a lot of people would say that. Like, if you look up best animes, AOT's top of the list almost all the time. But I think Full Metal has the emotional, heart, heartfelt moments on. Like, you guys haven't seen Hughes's death. That's all I'm saying. Like, you guys just have not seen Hughes's death. And if you did see it, then you didn't understand how good of a character Hughes was when he got murdered. That's all I'm saying. Oh, now we're gonna get the Studio Ghibli movies out of the way. You know, we got Totoro. I'm gonna say, uh, I wanna put it. 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 I kind of want to put it at B tier. Spirited Away, like my okay. The reason I want to put it at B tier is because it is very just like it's a simple story. You know what I mean? It's not the most intricate story made by Studio Ghibli, but it is a very good one at that. Very simple. Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle, both A tier. I feel like this is self-explanatory. The Flying Pig, S tier. If you've seen the movie, you get what I'm saying. Ponyo, B tier. I feel like these are very popular. All five of these. I don't want to go too in depth on them because this video is kind of running long right now. I don't want to go too in depth on them, but they're great. If you haven't seen them, I recommend all five of these. But they're just they're mindful, and the animation is 10 times better than anything that is already on this list, except maybe My Hero Academia Season 7 and then Tokyo Ghoul. But these five have some of the best animation because that's the reason why this is on this list. The OVA. I love hand drawn media. I really do. But moving on to the Sonic OVA, this movie by itself makes me want a Sonic anime. This movie by itself, I'm not gonna say I don't like Shadow. Shadow is my phone background. It's not just a picture of Shadow the Hedgehog, it's like a collage of Shadow the Hedgehog. He is my favorite Sonic character. But if we're talking about Sonic rivals, Metal Sonic is my favorite Sonic rival. You know what I mean? He is, you have Neo Metal Sonic, which is peak. If you ever played Sonic Heroes, you know what I'm talking about. Metal Overlord, straight peak. But if we're talking about base Metal Sonic, this movie gasses him up and just shows you the true strength of Metal Sonic's power. And it is insane to me how we haven't had a full on Sonic anime yet, and how, it's been left. Like this character is built for a shonen anime, and it's just been he's meant to be animated, I feel like, and it's just been left to kind of rot ever since this movie came out. Like we got Sonic X, we had the American TV shows Underground, Saturn, the Great Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, all those 90s shows. Like Underground's probably the best one out of the three, including out of the four, including Sonic X. I'm not a big fan of Sonic X. I know some people beg to differ, but come on now, it's not that great of a show. And Sonic Prime it was alright. But with the new shorts coming out, like the Metal Sonic one that we got a preview on, and then Shadows from the year prior, I really hope this is leading into a Sonic anime. I really do. And the Metal Sonic that we saw in the preview, it reminds me a lot of this Metal Sonic, and I'm glad Metal Sonic is getting a resurgence in his character. I really am. A tier. The story is simple and sweet. It's early Sonic, and I'm just gonna oh, you guys didn't see that. I'm just gonna show you. I genuinely love Sonic the Hedgehog, one of the best characters of all time in my opinion. Genuinely love Sonic the Hedgehog. Voltron. Now, not a lot of people know about Voltron. I talk about Voltron with people that I know in real life, and they're like, what the hell is that? This is probably the show that got me into anime. Now, this show was the first like anime I've ever seen, Full Metal Alchemist. That's why it's such a strong bias for me. But if I had to say a show to fully send me nose deep into anime, it would be Voltron. The story was, it is a kid's show at the end of the day, but the character arcs they're able to pull off in this show are incredible. They really are incredible. And it is just one of the best TV shows Netflix has produced in years, and I'm very upset, not kind of, I'm very upset that it's not on Netflix anymore and you have to go out and buy it on your own time because I do want to rewatch it, and they're better than the Power Rangers, better than Transformers, just better than all of that. I love Voltron and I cannot wait for the movie coming out. And I'm upset that it's not going to be set for theater release. Avatar: The Last Airbender, I'm gonna put it at a solid B tier. It's not nothing crazy. It's sick, but at the end of the day, it was a broadcasted kids TV show. Unlike Voltron, they weren't able to get into a lot of serious topics as Voltron, but they had great character redemption arcs such as Zuko and some other fire characters, or firebenders, I should say. But and they had one of the worst dads in anime, if you will, anime history with the Fire Lord. Are we serious? I'm not even gonna get into that because I've seen many YouTubers go over how terrible of a father fucking Fire Lord is. I fucking forget his name, but the Fire Lord was, and I genuinely do love the Avatar show, but this will be the tier list for today. And if you guys agree, if you guys have any conflicting views, let me know in the comments below. But other than that, I think my list is pretty solid for the animes that have watched. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get back into anime, but I haven't seen a whole lot compared to others. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me. I'll have a good one.